Welcome, 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 gorgeous souls, to another fabulous Starseed Super Session webinar. Today we're going to be talking about Corvus Starseeds, the Crow. So in this Corvus Starseed Super Session, we are going to cover Corvus, the Crow constellation, the Stars of Corvus, deep space objects near Corvus. We're also going to talk about the mythology of Corvus, cross-cultural crow symbolism, Corvus Starseeds, the void and magical abilities, the Corvus Stargate, and we're going to talk about Corvus Starseed Archetype or Starchetype, and Corvus Starseed codes, how to unlock Corvusian energy in your star chart. And I'm very excited to be starting to bridge the Western tropical system with the Sidereal true sky system. So we have a lens on both, an expanded galactic lens on both, and how to unlock Corvusian energy in your star chart, as well as the Corvus Alignment. So let us jump in. So Corvus, the Crow constellation. Corvus is located in the southern sky. Its name means crow or raven in Latin. And the Corvus constellation represents Apollo's sacred bird in Greek mythology. It was first cataloged by Ptolemy in the 2nd century. Corvus is the 70th constellation in size. It's a pretty small constellation, located in the 3rd quadrant of the southern hemisphere, and has neighboring constellations such as Crater, Hydra, and Virgo. Corvus has one star with known planets and contains no Micer objects. The brightest star in the constellation is Gaia Gamma Corvi, and there is one meteor shower associated with this constellation, the Corvids. So here are the stars of Corvus. Corvus contains 5 named stars. We have Gaia, which is Gamma Corvi. That's the right wing of the crow. We have Kras or Beta Corvi, which is the left foot of the crow. Algorab, Delta Corvi, the left wing of the crow. Minkar or Epsilon Corvi is the eye of the crow. And Alchiba, or Alpha Corvi, which is the nostril or the beak of the crow. There is one asterism associated with Corvus, Spica's spanker, the sail. As you can see here on the left, it's kind of depicted, it's supposed to look like a little sail. So the 4 brightest stars in Corvus comprise this asterism or geometric shape, right, with the stars there. Delta, Gamma, Epsilon, and Beta Corvi. So they form this asterism known as the sail or Spica's spanker because the stars, Gamma and Delta Corvi, point to the way of Spica, Alpha Virginis, one of the brightest stars in the Virgo constellation, and the 15th brightest star in the night sky. So deep space objects near Corvus. So Corvus is a pretty small constellation, so it doesn't contain many bright stars or deep sky objects, but it is home to a very famous pair of interacting galaxies, the antennae galaxies. So the antenna galaxies show a likely future of the Milky Way and Andromeda, M31, when the two collide. The antenna galaxies were first discovered by astronomer Sir William Herschel in 1785, and the galactic collision is currently in the starburst stage. I'll show you a picture of it in a minute here. The rate of star-forming activity in this region near Corvus is exceptionally high, so it's an H2 star-forming region. The antenna galaxies are sometimes also known as ringtail galaxy, and these colliding galaxies got named antenna because their shape resembles that of an insect's antenna. They have 2 long tails comprised of gas, dust, and stars ejected from their main bodies as a result of the collision and their interaction. So here we have a little picture here of the antenna galaxies. And so that image shows obvious signs of chaos. Clouds of gas are seen in bright and pink red, surrounding the bright flashes of blue star forming regions. So the star formation is so high in the antenna galaxies that it's said to be in this state of starburst. So that's like a period in which all of the gas within the galaxies is being used to form stars. That stage can't last forever, and neither can the separate galaxies. Eventually, the nuclei will coalesce and the galaxies will begin their retirement together as one large elliptical galaxy. So let's talk mythology of Corvus. So the constellation Corvus represents the raven or crow, which was Apollo's sacred bird in Greek mythology. According to the myth, the raven originally had white feathers. In one story, Apollo told the bird to watch over Coronis, one of his lovers. Coronis gradually lost interest in Apollo and fell in love with the mortal man, Ischyas. And when the raven reported this to Apollo, the god was so enraged that the bird did nothing to stop it that he flung a curse on the bird. It wasn't the bird's problem. Scorching the raven's feathers. That, the legend goes, is why all ravens or crows are black. Apollo then sent his sister, Artemis, to do away with Coronis. And before Coronis's body was burned, the unborn child, Asclepius, was cut out of her womb and given to the centaur Chiron, who raised him. Asclepius grew up to be a famous healer and is represented by the constellation Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. So the crow has some connections to Ophiuchus as well. The Greek Corvus was borrowed from the mythical Babylonian raven, Mol Uga Mushin, which was usually depicted perched on the tail of a serpent, which tracks because Ophiuchus is the serpent bearer. He holds the serpent. Babylonians associated the constellation with Adad, the god of rain and storm, because its stars would rise before the rainy season in the fall in the second millennium. So some cross-cultural crow symbolism. Crows play a very deep role in human mythology and have been featured in folklore for thousands of years. As crows and ravens are similar and belong to the same genus, Corvus, their role in symbolism overlaps considerably. Still, they're not really the same exact bird, and symbology does differ across many different types of corvids, crows versus ravens. So in modern Western culture, crows tend to symbolize things associated with death, the afterlife, wisdom, intelligence, adaptability, prescience or fortune-telling, visions, clairvoyance, destiny, transformation, and the future. Crow symbolism is both positive and negative, and they're seen as both good and bad omens depending on where you are in the world and, of course, the context you see them in. But what's remarkable is that crows, especially ravens, have rich symbological meaning in practically every culture and society worldwide, including ancient Mesopotamian, Mesoamerican, Greek, Roman, Indian, South Asian, Norse, Pacific, Celtic, medieval European, Christian, and modern Western cultures. So they are very deeply symbolic, can be totem animals or spirit animals, and also, as we know, intergalactic, multidimensional, extra-dimensional beings as well. So death is one of the most common denominators in crow symbolism, and death isn't always a literal death. It can be a symbolic death, transformation. So crows, ravens, other corvids in that family genus of birds are generally scavengers and appear next to dead animals, hence why they're often linked with death itself. Siberian and other old European writings and poems frequently refer to the crow as a symbol of death. For example, in Swedish folklore, ravens are the ghosts of people murdered without a proper Christian burial. And in old German storytelling, they are sometimes seen as damned souls. In Celtic folklore and mythology, ravens are associated with the goddess Morrigan, who is associated with death and war and guard the natural environment. And in Welsh mythology, ravens and crows are associated with the warrior god Bran, the Blessed, which means crow or raven. And you will probably also understand the Game of Thrones reference, Bran the Blessed, if you have watched that series in which he becomes the crow, has visions through being the crow, right? So you can see how the clairvoyance, psychic senses are deeply connected to these birds, to crows and ravens across many cultures in fiction and nonfiction tales as well. So prescience, or fortune telling, and as messengers, big symbolism here for ravens and crows, as they're frequently associated with fortune telling, clairvoyance, or the future. For example, the Norse god Odin sacrificed an eye for wisdom and instead relied on two ravens for sight, Hugin and Munnin, who flew across the world and delivered him information. Their names roughly translate as thought and memory. In Native or Indigenous American and Canadian mythology, the Kuwakatul, if I'm saying that correctly, or Kawakawaka Waka of British Columbia, ravens were used in divination rituals. And in the Bible, ravens are often associated as messengers. In the Old Testament, the crow is depicted as Noah's helper. The book of Genesis 8:6-7 reads, "After 40 days, Noah opened a window he had made in the ark and sent out a raven. And it kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up from the earth." The Bible also refers to crows in resilience, strength, survival, and uncleanliness. Ravens and crows are also connected to wisdom and intelligence in Native American and Indian folklore. For example, in Indian mythology, a crow called Kakabusanda sits in the branches of a wish-fulfilling tree called the Kalpataru, and another crow was blessed with foresight by Lord Rama. Crows are also mentioned in Buddhism, especially Tibetan Buddhism, where the Dharmapala, protector of the Dharma, called Mahakala, is represented by a crow in one of his earthly forms. So let's talk about general crow symbolism here. More modern spiritualism, crows and ravens are seen to symbolize transformation, prescience, or fortune, future telling, destiny, intelligence, fearlessness, mystery, flexibility, adaptability, and perspective. They also have some negative connotations such as manipulation, deceit, bad luck, and mischief. As a totem animal or spirit animal, crows and ravens evoke mystery, resilience, intelligence, and magic. Noticing ravens and crows in your day-to-day life is said to evoke spiritual shifts, adaptation, and change. People say that noticing crows or ravens should prompt one to consider changing their life or taking new risks. Crows are linked with death, so for that reason, some people, especially people that are afraid of death, often see them as a bad omen. For example, seeing a flock of crows near your house might signify inclement death or doom. However, the overriding sentiment behind crows in modern spiritualism is positive, And of course, you always want to use discernment, trust your intuition rather than interpreting signs or interactions with crows from a fear-based perspective. What happens if you find a crow feather? So some say that bird feathers are gifts from angels. A crow feather is sometimes said to represent dark magic, death, and the unknown or the void, which isn't bad necessarily. So here's a nice little overview of Corvus the crow. General symbolism stands for power, intelligence, creativity, broad-mindedness, and mysticism. As a Starchetype, or a starseed archetype, Corvus Starseeds are deeply intuitive and psychic. The ability to connect to the underworld, mystic messengers, telepathic, clairvoyant as well, excellent healers, shaman, and death doulas. And if you experience a crow in sightings in the IRL, 3D realm, real life realm, or in your dream realm, that could also mean symbolism associated with life, death, or sudden changes that trigger you to use soul wisdom, an unlocking of secret or lost knowledge. So let's talk a little more in detail about Corvus Starseeds. We know all avian starseeds, all of the starseeds associated with birds, are highly telepathic, highly clairvoyant, have a keen sight, generally have very fine-tuned third eyes, and in addition to that, with Corvus starseeds, they tend to be empaths. They tend to be very patient, open-hearted, and protected. So the starseeds of Corvus are a pretty small group. They're pretty rare, even in comparison to Spica starseeds. The numbers of their incarnates are so small in comparison, it's no wonder why there's just not a whole lot of information available about them, whether it's about their existence or traits. And please, as a note, remember that the way in which Corvus energy affects each starseed soul is going to vary greatly depending on the area of the natal chart that the fixed stars of Corvus fall, i.e. the house placement, conjunctions to planets, luminaries, and asteroids. Corvus starseeds have a very strong connection to both Corvus, the crow constellation or star system, and Hydra, the water snake. Both are seen as highly psychic, emotionally empathic star systems. Corvus starseeds are also heavily associated with the unknown and with the void. They're very sensible and practical souls who incarnate to help others awaken through using the crossroads, the liminal, the spaces in between this realm and other realms. Corvus starseeds are messengers that go back and forth between realms, gathering knowledge to assist and teach others. They are embodiments of knowledge and change. They tend to be very maternal, yet sometimes chaotic in nature, incapable of fitting into any one specific label. They're really unlike most other starseeds. And this often results in receiving a lot of negativity due to their uniqueness. They're all about transition, regeneration, moving alongside the currents of nature, paying attention to the pattern of the sun and the moon, to the seasons, and to the ebb and flow of energy inside and around us through our bodies, actions, medicine, and creations. Corvus starseeds really are able to connect with the void, with the liminal, with the in-between spaces of realms, and use their skills, which makes them excellent healers, death doulas, and shaman. They're naturally intelligent when it comes to practices that are most commonly seen within traditional witchcraft or Wicca, using what is available to them and around them. They work with the physical to connect with the liminal. Corvusian souls have easy access to the universe, the multiverse, and of course the greater omniverse of all things, and its history and knowledge. However, Corvus Starseeds are easily cluttered mentally and emotionally, especially when they're tired or trying to juggle multiple things at once. They're not great multitaskers. Thus, in comparison to other souls, they need to take breaks to declutter themselves and think clearly, or cut back their level of activity where they're not as cluttered. You get overly stimulated very easily, so it's good to limit stimulation regularly to prevent energetic depletion. And from social interaction point of view, they do tend to receive a lot of negativity for being their true selves and being open-minded. A lot of people just really don't understand them, and they can actually be triggering for other people as well, as they reflect back things within the void of each soul that they're not acknowledging, those shadow elements. Corvians or Corvusians are also more likely to be followed or accompanied by spirits, the dead, guides, family, ancestral, or galactic guides as well. Some Corvus Starseeds are actually very gifted mediums, can connect with deceased loved ones more easily than others. And if it's a familial spirit, a spirit animal, or a guide, they are more likely to be that of a Corvusian, a crow, a raven, an avian, or be associated with corvids in some way. This Corvus star race are non-physical beings who have no form, that have always been fully devoted to healing and nurturing others, in aiding others through change by using the cycle in which we're all a part of. They are a race of energy and cycles. And according to Vedic astrology, Corvus is associated with Hasta in the Nakshatra system, the hand, which looks very similar to the Corvus constellation. Hasta Nakshatra is the nakshatra of intellect and spirituality, as well as the crafts. So its ruling planet is the moon, who is associated with Parvati, and Hasta is associated with the divine, the path less taken to heal and connect with the unknown, with the liminal. So it's wonderful when different astrology systems overlap in this way. Okay, so the mystic rectangle. This is an aspect pattern in a natal chart. The mystic rectangle. It's very rare. So the mystic rectangle is the mark of Corvus. You might have planets, luminaries, asteroids conjunct Corvus as well, and not have a mystic rectangle and identify with Corvus star souls. But this is another indicator if this shows up. So this is a rare mystic rectangle, and it's the mark associated with Corvus starseeds, as well as the marking of a Hydra starseed too. So many wonder why this rectangle is generally so rare to have, and that's due to the fact that Corvus and Hydra starseeds, they're more rare and they do not incarnate as often. They're more comfortable in the liminal non-physical spaces, so incarnating into a body is going to be probably pretty uncomfortable for them. So Hydra and Corvus starseeds are incarnated to undergo a soul, a karmic, a twin flame, which I use that term loosely because I think a lot of people don't understand a true twin flame journey. Not a false twin flame, not a karmic, right? Flame, that's a different situation. But so therefore, these two souls usually have direct alignments to either Hydra or Corvus. If you have the mystic rectangle in your chart, if you have prominent Corvus starseed codes in your chart, you're most likely here to experience some type of soul evolution, to resolve some type of karma between you and another Corvus or Hydra starseed or soul with that lineage. So as far as the mystic rectangles go, it can kind of go either way. Corvus rides Hydra's back in the night sky, and they are overall connected to one another. So the constellation-wise, and throughout history. So Corvus Starseeds. So Corvus runs from about 14 degrees to 25 degrees of Virgo in the sidereal or true sky astrology system, and from about 10 to 19 degrees of Libra in the tropical Western astrology system. I'm including both moving forward because I really feel like we need to kind of bridge different astrological systems. I, of course, work with the fixed stars. That's what starseed astrology is really all about. But I believe it's so important to have a greater expanded lens on how we can use different astrology systems for our greater good here. So if you have this constellation alignment or fixed stars conjunct or in opposition to planets or luminaries in your astrological chart, then you have a direct alignment to Corvus. So you might also feel the Corvusian Stargate at 14 to 25 degrees of Pisces in sidereal, or 10 to 19 degrees of Aries in the tropical system, due to the north-south 180 degree nodal planetary access points of electromagnetic, cosmic particle, and antiparticle matter. So even if you don't have something in direct conjunction, an opposition would also indicate connections to the Corvusians. So as a Corvus starseed, it's possible that you have high Virgo or Libra placements in your chart, although that's not required. You might also have high Pisces placements due to the north-south nodal planetary access points. Having your midheaven in either Virgo or Pisces is another very prominent indicator. So Corvus starseed celebrities include Zendaya, Kristen Stewart, and Leonardo DiCaprio. And please note, this does not mean that those celebrities are currently on an awakened starseed journey. They are just their soul origin alignments indicated in their birth charts, whether they know it or not. So the Corvus Starseed archetype. Those who are Corvus Starseeds, as we've discussed, are wonderful healers. They have a deep connection with liminality and working with the void. They are healers and change makers who travel down the old ways to stay in tune with the liminal and the energies around them. They're very intellectual and wise, easily cluttered. They're prone to keeping to themselves or limiting activity. They're really neither light nor dark, but are both and are the embodiments of chaos. Chaos is necessary for change. They guide others using their skills to help heal and awaken. They guide others through the liminal, through the unseen, through the voids, through the dark nights of the soul, dark nights of the ego to transcend. And the Corvus Stargate, so Corvus, like Antares, Sirius, and Arcturus, is home to a Stargate. And like Antares, it's a gateway to two galaxies that have melded into one, the antenna galaxies. It is a Stargate of creation and transition, a web of change. The Stargate, in which, when opened, forces one to change and transition into who they are meant to be. And we really feel this around the Corvus alignment. So let's talk more specifically about Corvus Starseed codes. You are going to want to get your natal birth chart, your wheel with coordinates. If you don't already have one, Time Passages is a great free app, or you can go to myastro.com or AstroSeek, also great free resources. So, really important to know that everybody has starseed alignments or starseed codes, fixed stars in their birth chart. However, not everybody is currently incarnated to awaken to their starseed journey in this current realm, in this current lifetime. Technically speaking, we are all starseeds on different soul origins, but not all of us incarnate to undergo our spiritual awakening or soul mission and purpose in this lifetime. So anyone could have Corvus, right, conjunctions in their chart. It doesn't mean their soul contract is one of an awakened path in this lifetime. But that's not a bad thing. That's just what their purpose is here to do or not. So we all have a purpose in life, whether it's adding on to our incarnation cycle to further soul evolvement or undergo a spiritual awakening intended to be your last incarnation you will make in the physical form. Most websites claim that you have to be born under a specific sign or astrological element in order to be a certain starseed origins, which is not true. There's so much false information about starseed origins out there. Your starseed origins are found within your astrological markers, the fixed stars in your birth chart. It's objective evidence that you can see, and we're going to look at how this shows up in the two different systems, the tropical and the sidereal. Starseeds, as you probably know, are advanced hybrid human beings that originate as celestial light source of consciousness from star systems outside of our solar sun, representing the expansional extraterrestrial hosted platforms of their consciousness and capacities to hold greater missions on Earth not defined by human limitation. Okay, so first here we're going to look at the tropical. So these are the degrees of the main stars in Corvus, aka starseed codes or starseed markings. The tropical is generally associated with the third dimension, the physical realm, okay? So look at your chart. If you have any planets, any luminaries like the sun or the moon, any of the big four asteroids, Juno, Vesta, Ceres, or Athena, Pallas Athena, or any other asteroids if you work with other ones, within a few degrees of these star coordinates, that is a very clear indicator of ties to Corvus. So even if you don't have any, so let's say you don't have anything in Libra. Let's say you don't have any, there's no planets there, there's luminaries aren't there, there's no asteroids there. You still want to look and see what house Libra rules, because this is the area of your life that is going to be most influenced by Corvus energy. Let's say that you don't have, any alignments, conjunctions with these degrees, right? With these degrees of the 3D or tropical Western system for Corvus codes. However, Libra rules your fifth house of creativity, of romance, of children, of fun. I serve. Personal creativity could be highly influenced by Corvus, by the liminal. You might even go into liminal spaces to channel creative inspiration, right? Another example of even if you don't have anything in Libra, let's say Libra falls in your, let's say 11th house. Group contribution, friends, groups, goals, aspirations might have more of a Corvusian element to them. You might be inspired by mysticism. You might be inspired, by mediumship and join a group with other mediums or healers, right? Or mystics. That could be something that's heavily influenced by that area of the chart. So you want to look and see, again, let's see, right here. The Corvus Starseed codes, these different degrees, 12, 17, 13, and 11 of Libra, those relate to physical manifestations of Corvus in this 3D realm that we're in. So you can see what house it falls in, what it's related to, and if it's conjunct with any of the planets or asteroids, how that could be related. So let's say Corvus is associated with your Mercury. Let's say one of the Corvus stars is conjunct or kind of a couple degrees near your natal Mercury in Libra. Well, Corvus might really heavily influence your mind. And Mercury is the messenger of the gods. So messages received through Corvus guides, through crows out in the 3D, right, in the physical realm, might be something that's really helpful for you to tap into other forms of communication. Corvus might really influence how you think about things in a more mystical, liminal way, etc. So you can kind of see what it's related to there. So now we're going to shift into the sidereal codes, okay? So because of the precession of the equinoxes, because the fixed stars move 1 degree every 72 years, over time, the original locations of these stars have shifted. So if you look up at the true sky, if you use a Starfinder app, these stars are actually going to be at different coordinates in the true sky sidereal system, which I believe is a higher dimensional system to look at, a less physical way to look at it. So you also want to see, do I have anything around these degrees of Virgo? 18 degrees of Virgo, 23 degrees of Virgo, 19, 17, and 16 degrees of Virgo. These are going to give you insight into any conjunctions in alignment with Corvus Starseed codes in the less physical, higher dimensional way. Still related to origins, but it's going to be more applicable in this lifetime to how you connect with the unseen. And again, you can look at, even if you don't have any of those conjunctions, what area Virgo falls in your chart. That's going to give you insight into how you can work with Corvus energy in a higher dimensional, non-physical way. So the Corvus alignment. So astrological alignments are incredibly useful when you're trying to connect with your star guides, or in this case, receive messages from the cosmic crow. When the sun and the earth are in line with the star system, it's easier to connect with the starseed spirit guide or cosmic ancestor from that galactic home. So during the conjunct or direct Corvus alignment with the sun in October, the sun is conjunct or in direct alignment with the Corvus star system and the Corvus Stargate. So on these days, Corvus will appear to be behind the sun. So wherever the sun is in the sky, that's where you'll find Corvus. Tropical Western astrology is going to say it's in Libra because that's based on the sun's trajectory through the constellations, not the actual true sky location of them, which sidereal astrologists will say it's in Virgo. But the dates remain the same because they're fixed stars. It's really just what sign are they in if you're using different systems. So wherever the sun's in the sky, that's where you'll find Corvus in October. And then we'll have the opposite alignment where Corvus will be more visible, at least in the northern hemisphere, in the night sky in April. And during these alignments, you're literally absorbing light codes through the sun from the star system you're focusing on during direct alignments, and therefore may experience powerful connections to those star guides, energy upgrades, and or activations of dormant soul gifts pertaining to that star system or Starchetype. So here are the dates for the Corvus alignment. The sun conjunct Corvus is October 3rd to 11th. Again, the dates remain the same. The actual sign that it's in, depending on which system you're thinking about, could be Libra or Virgo, but it will be conjunct with the sun during the same dates, which I love fixed star astrology for this reason. October 3rd through the 11th to connect with the sun for best for daytime meditations, and the sun will be opposite Corvus April 3rd through 11th, which is best for nighttime meditations. So there you have it, gorgeous souls. This has been our Corvus Starseed super session. I hope that you found it helpful. And I will definitely be expanding a little bit more on how we're going to bridge our two main systems of astrology, Tropical Western and Sidereal True Sky, just so you have a greater, more expanded lens on how to integrate and work with all things astrological. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm sending you galaxies of love and gratitude and cosmic crow mysticism.